Sure. Thank you, Kurt, and thank you all of you for being on the call. I see a lot of familiar faces at this point, having been organizing virtually into Virginia for a couple months now. It's great to see so many of you again, and a few new faces. As Kurt mentioned, it's been a little bit of a tricky time for our country over the last few months between coronavirus, the corresponding economic crisis, and most recently what happened in Minnesota a few weeks ago, the tragic death of Mr. George Floyd, and the opening of the continuing visibility of a wound of racism in our country, and how we've come together to stand up to that through peaceful protests all across the country. And even a few weeks ago, I think I saw all across the world, people are voicing their opinions. So I know we say every 4 years this is the most important election of our lifetimes. It's true now,
Really is.
more than ever. And from the onset of this campaign, Joe has said we are in a battle for the soul of the nation, and that is so true with everything going on. No one community can handle things on their own. We have to support each other, our friends and neighbors, through compassion, resiliency, empathy,
I can
and
tell that
true leadership. Everything that's lacking in the White House right now, Joe Biden embodies. So thank you all for being part of this discussion today. I think it's going to be a little more informal than some of the meetings we've had in the past. We're just obviously celebrating Joe crossing the delegate threshold a few weeks ago. We'll hear from some of our volunteers.
Hey, Matthias, can we just make a quick ask of everyone to mute themselves? There's a little bit of background chatter.
There we go. Can you hear me now? Awesome. Yeah. So as I was saying, this meeting is going to be a little more informal than some of the previous meetings y'all have maybe attended. We don't really have a full agenda or anything like that. We just want to recognize the achievements we've made, and we'll be hearing from some of our volunteer leaders and the work that they've been doing, soon to be delegates to the National Convention. So if you all want to participate throughout the meeting, feel free to do so. We've got a chat box, but let's also be mindful of not talking over each other and be respectful of each other. So with that said, I'll turn it back to Kurt. Thanks again.
Yeah. Hey, hey everyone. Nice to. I see so many familiar faces. That's really like the fun part of these calls, of sort of getting everyone back together and checking in with one another. I feel like I get like touches from everybody, just like sort of every now and then. But to have everyone in person is really cool. Or everyone in the same place again, roughly, is really cool. I think that ideally you would have envisioned this as sort of celebration at Kurt's restaurant. In an ideal world, we would all be together back at the Java Grill, listening to some music, having some conversations, all of that. I mean, that was really the best part of that primary campaign. I'm so thankful that we got through Super Tuesday and we were still doing in-person events. Things kind of went downhill right after Super Tuesday, and I'm downhill in I meant like the national way. I mean, this doesn't necessarily make it worse; it just changes the dynamic a lot. And we kind of had to innovate and really think through and sort of think through it. But it's definitely different, and it's definitely not what we expected, and it's certainly not our preference. I think that we would all prefer to be gathered together tonight around each other. Definitely, it's a different atmosphere. But I think the one thing that we can do is sort of kind of think back to what we're thankful for here. I am Kurt. I am, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I am so thankful for the work that we got to do together in Virginia. That was a gigantic win for us, and as a campaign, and for Joe's candidacy early on, after South Carolina, coming into Virginia and then performing so strongly. It takes quite an organization to make that kind of thing happen. And then to see it through to the nomination, to be going into the national convention with a majority of the delegates. I mean, it really has been sort of a storybook. It's been a sort of a storybook few months, and many of you are coming into this, from other campaigns. I think that it's phenomenal that we have unified our party, that we've come together in the way that we have. Just seeing the unity around Democrats and the resolve of our volunteers and elected officials to make sure that Donald Trump is a one-term president. That's what this has been about this entire time. And I'm so happy that we're all together for this. So I'm sure that there'll be many cheers to this, but I'm kind of curious what everyone's drinking, but I think that we can all sort of raise our glasses to that and to November, right?
Cheers.
I am, yes. Hi, Kurt. Hi, Paul. Hey, it's nice to see you. I'm not sure why my video isn't working. No, I know. I don't know why. There's something wrong with Zoom because normally when I do virtual background, it shows me. It's just showing me and Joe. But hey, it's great to see you. So I don't think I'm the only one. I see a lot of people
Take off the virtual
don't have video, but thank you for inviting me, Kurt, to your celebration, our 1991 celebration. It's so awesome. We've worked really hard, and everybody on this call has worked really, really hard. So thank you so much. We did it, where we officially have Joe as our presumptive nominee, which is awesome. And I'm up in Massachusetts. I see there's a lot of Massachusetts people here. So very cool. I'm from JP, Jamaica Plain. I'm up here now for my mom's birthday, heading back to Virginia in a couple of weeks. I'm so excited to see so many Massachusetts folks on the call and to see so many friends. So thank you so much for being here. So just to tell you a little bit about my journey, I was very early Joe from the beginning. Went to a lot of different states, as I'm sure a lot of you did as well. And we're just really grateful for all of you to have joined our movement, because we know that a lot of people who are on this call may not have started out with Joe. But thank you so much for joining us, because it's so important that we get Joe Biden elected in November, that we get rid of Donald Trump, quite frankly. We need a big blue wave. And thank you for being a part of it. No matter what point in time you came into this celebration, whether you were with us from the beginning or you joined us along the line, thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't say thank you enough. And thank you, Kurt, for organizing this. What a great party.
Amanda's taking care of Zach, Biden, Lindsay.
Oh, I miss Carol. I miss you all too.
Hi, Julia.
Hi. Hi, Kurt. Hi, Paul.
Hey, what's up, Julia?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Hey, Julia.
It's been a while.
It's great to see everyone. I'm not sure if most of you probably don't know me, but I am an at-large delegate for Virginia, so I will be joining this great bunch going to the DNC in August. This is my first time having the honor to be at the convention, and I could not be more excited. I first got involved with the Biden campaign last year, the day after he declared he was going to run. I've always been a devout fan of Vice President Biden, even when he was before his days with President Obama. And like Paul and Carol and Kurt, we were the original Teen Joe. A lot of folks on here came after, and thank God you did. But I knew from the door that he would be the best candidate, and look at where we are. I'm so excited, even in the midst of all the chaos that's going on. And I do have a message, for those of us who are intimately knowledgeable of the injustices that happen in this country to certain sets of people. This election could not be more important in my lifetime, in our lifetime, in our collective lifetime. This is really going to be a point in time that we'll point to. It used to be pre-COVID and post-COVID. Now it's even bigger than that. So, it's wonderful to see, quite frankly, the peaceful protests, because there's a place for that. The peaceful boycotting, or the loud boycotting, to be quite frankly, to be quite frank, there's a place for that. And then, obviously there's the political aspect of this, and that's where I decided to focus my energy on, because we all know that we're not going to win just in the streets. We have to win in legislation and in law and in policy and with the folks that we vote to represent us. And I urge each and every one of you, besides voting, just get involved, volunteer with your local Democratic group. There's so many roles that you can serve and be a part of our party. It doesn't have to be a delegate. You don't have to volunteer 24 hours a day. Whatever you can do is more than welcome. But, we are now at a point in our history where we all need to be engaged and we all need to focus. Every day, there is something that number 45 does to try to deflect from the chaos in this country. We must stay focused. We must remain steadfast straight till November 3rd and beyond to make sure that he does not remain on 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. So again, I thank you all. I hope you all are paying attention to mail-in balloting and absentee balloting and all that great stuff, because this is going to be a fight to the end. You all know that this, number 45 will do anything and everything in his power to just derail this election. So I implore you again to remain engaged. Thank you again for being here. Thank you for those that voted for me, and great to see you all tonight. Happy Sunday.
Yes, I think I am unmuted. Can you hear me? Oh, okay. It should be on. Are you just hearing my voice? Okay, great. Well, first of all, I totally endorse the idea that we have a long road to go still and we can't let up. But I do think we all should just take a minute to take a deep breath and think how lucky we are that we've come this far. Everybody has worked so hard, and we can think that on November 3rd, the night or the morning of November 4th, and we have a victory on our hands and we get rid of Donald Trump at that point. And then on January 20th, when he walks out of the White House for good, and I think he'll have to, I'm not too concerned about that not happening. So I just think we all just got to stop for a minute and think how grateful we are that we are arriving at this point in time, and then that the next steps will take us to the further victory. So that was my main point, but I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. My husband actually worked for Joe Biden in the 80s and the 90s, so I've been fortunate enough to, on and off through the years, see the Bidens and at events and things like that. So I've been very grateful for that. And I went to Iowa in 2008, 2012. So I go back a ways. And this time around, I've focused primarily on the Women for Biden part of things. And I'm so happy to see on the call, we have some of our early volunteers, and I'm talking about volunteers in advance of the Virginia primary starting in December, where we did postcards. We were asked to do 2,000 postcards to undecided women in Iowa. So we got together, starting off in their DC office, and then we moved to Jalmeen's house. Jalmeen is on the call. Thank you, Jalmeen. She's opened her house. Yeah, a big hand for Jalmeen and people like Jalmeen who are so generous with their time and their space. So we had our postcard parties at Jalmeen's, and then we had one at Leslie Mason's, which was spectacular. And then we did our many marathon phone banks and our Women for Biden house parties. And toward the end, we were really grateful that we had some wonderful volunteers from the other campaigns come over, because that's why we're going to win, because we're going to have the strength of all of those people. And we also have the diversity of our party, which is the other main thing that makes us strong. So we are going to win. And I just want to thank everybody, both the volunteers like Carol and Julia are on, and Jalmeen is on, and I think Katie is on, and I'm sure I'm missing too many people. So I shouldn't name them, but they were all terrific. And the one final point I'll make is that the other part of being involved in the campaign is to have met so many wonderful people, some of whom I knew some, but most of these are new friends of mine. And I'll forever remember them, and I'll forever remember the good times we had and the good times that are ahead. So anyway, I think we should celebrate and then get to work.
Oh, well, thanks so much, Kurt, and thank you for being such an inspiration to everybody. This has been many of us who were early supporters of Joe, and we continue to support him and just amp things up. And one thing that we know, that it's going to be a tough summer. Know that the Trump campaign is going to be discharging a lot of funds over this summer, and we've got to be there to engage and inspire. A little bit about me. I was born and raised in Minnesota, but spent 21 years in the Air Force and retired 5 years ago. And so I just got done with a career in 2014 and was lucky enough to join the tail end of the campaign for Hillary, and then President's Commission for Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. And so that inspired me. I got to know Joe there and met him a good number of times. And so I knew I was all in as early as last September. So just recently, I got the opportunity to meet him in his when he came to check out Norfolk and do his Norfolk rally. And that's when everything turned. So a number of events with so many of you, and it's been a lot of fun and really exciting. But now it's going to get close to, I think we're about 18 weeks away now. And so this weekend,
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, we're all here. I think he just froze. Woo!
Sure. Thank you, Kurt. It's so great to see everybody, some new and old faces alike. It's so great that we're in this moment. We're celebrating Joe's win, and it just feels so good. I think I echo the comments of what many of you have already said. You know, if you asked me back in February or March, or early March, where things seemed like they were going, it didn't seem so great for us. But it turned around so fast, and this campaign has been one heck of a ride. But I'm so glad that we're where we are. I'm so glad it's with you all. So a little bit about myself. As Kurt mentioned, I'm one of the national delegates for Joe. I'm from the 8th Congressional District. I am originally involved with the Arlington Democrats here. That's how I sort of got my footing here. I'm involved with the Arlington Democrats and the Arlington Young Democrats. My home base is actually in North Carolina. That's where I hail from. I moved here about 10 years ago and started school here and have planted roots in this area since then. I work in public health for my daytime job, and then after that, you know, you pick a campaign. I'm in it, but so that's sort of where I'm from. And then how I got involved with Joe was I know a lot of you know the story about his support for marriage equality back in 2012 and how he was the first public official to come out and support for marriage equality. And at the time, that meant a lot to a lot of people, including myself, when people from the LGBTQ community were not that visible, or there were not a lot of loud voices to support the LGBTQ community, especially not anyone as high as the vice president at that time. So when he came out and supported marriage equality, that was very important to me. And I've remembered that day ever since. I remember, you know, what it felt like to have someone like that, you know, the vice president coming out in support, and basically saying that someone like me mattered and that I deserved love and freedom and what have you. So I've been a fan of Joe since then. I was involved or a little bit early on at the tail end of 2019, and then a little bit more so in 2020. And some of the groups I'm in now, well, the main way I guess I got involved a little bit more with Joe was helping start Progressives for Biden group, which its aim was to bring in some of the other folks from some of the other campaigns who were new to Joe, didn't really know what his policies were and what he was for. So, you know, one of the tasks or one of the things I thought would be a good idea, it would be to help promote some of his plans and ideas across social media. So we now have about 1,000 people total following those accounts on Twitter and Instagram. And something I was really excited to help bring on board because, as we all know, it's going to take such a large coalition to help defeat Donald Trump. And I think it's imperative that we bring everyone in that we totally can, that we possibly can. And then other than that, the other group helping out along with Joe Biden was LGBTQ Democrats for Joe Biden. So doing a few things with them on the side. So yeah, it's great to see everyone. It's great to be here. And looking forward to a great convention where we can get Joe Biden nominated and finally get out the vote after that to make sure that man's the next president.
Yeah. Hey, Kurt, I just want to point to everyone, point to the chat box. I included a link for voting absentee for Virginia. It's in the chat box. So if folks can check the chat box, if you are interested in voting by mail, that is an excellent link that tells you how and what to do in order to do it. Please share it with all your friends and family for those who do not want to go physically to the polls. It's one of the best links that are out there, particularly for voting in Virginia. So please look I posted it at about 6:55 in the chat box. So please copy and paste it and share the word, spread the word. Thank you.
Hey, Kurt, can I say something, please? I just want to apologize. My webcam was blocked earlier. I didn't realize it. So for those of you who didn't see me when I was speaking, I just want to say hi again. Hi, Nairi. Nairi just got an awesome job, by the way. We're so excited for her. We're going to miss her in Virginia. She just got an awesome job in Florida. So she's going to be moving. But
not yet, Carol. I'll be teaching. I'll be teaching remotely for the fall semester. And if they get me down there full time, I'm going to try to turn Florida blue. So I'll still be doing my part.
Thank you so much. Congratulations! What a wonderful opportunity.
Thank you.
So, yeah, I just wanted to say hi and let people see my face instead of just speaking with a picture of me and Joe. I couldn't figure it out, so I apologize. We're all straight now. So. Anyway, thank you. It's really so nice to see so many of my fellow delegates, good friends, people who've been working so hard for Joe from the beginning and all of our new people. So I just want to say thank you so much for everyone who's on this call. We are just so delighted that you joined us tonight. And thank you for helping make this happen. Because now that Joe is our presumptive nominee. He was our presumptive nominee. He is our nominee. He has enough votes. We can really focus on what we need to do for the upcoming election. And very importantly, as we all know, there are a lot of challenges that we already knew we had as a party, let's face it. And we have policy decisions to make. So now that we're all on board and we have one candidate, it will make it a lot easier for us to work together to work on those policies that will help strengthen our base and to make America really the kind of place we want it to be, the diverse community we want it to be, the welcoming community that we want it to be. And anyway, I'm not going to wax on because I know Matthias hasn't spoken yet. He's our amazing organizer in Virginia. He should probably be next on the call. But anyway, thank you. I just wanted to say hi when you can all see me in person.
Can I say hi, Kurt? Hi, everyone. Hi. Hello, Kurt.
Hi, Julia.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Carol. I am so glad to see everyone. Finally, I miss you all.
Me too.
Life is not the same anymore, but we are still friends. We are still working together for Joe. So today we are meeting because we are happy again. This is the second time for this celebration. And if we can get here, in spite of our visitor, COVID-19. In addition to that, another big tragedy that happened in the nation again, that's really affecting everyone. And Joe has been so faithful. He keeps on going. And the most impressive thing I think he really did, he visited the family. I think that was so impressive and really helped the family they feel that there is somebody there who cares. Donald Trump doesn't care. Donald Trump just wants to destroy, but Joe Biden really exhibited his quality, his integrity, his love and caring for the people. So this is why we have to keep holding hands together to work with our strength. So when Donald Trump think that he's going to stay there in the White House, because we believe that, we have the faith already that Joe Biden, he is the perfect president now.
Touch your mic,
So I don't really have much to say about me. I'm just an ordinary volunteer, and I enjoy working, making fun banks. And lately, I've been able to reach out to some great supporters. They are really ready to vote for Joe. They cannot wait. And then the most impressive thing also that I've heard from some parties, they recently converted to the Democrat Party. So there is something very special that is going on. So now for November, it's getting closer. And I heard somebody mention about the mailing. So that will be a great strategy, one of the strategies that will be very effective for Joe Biden to be elected in November. Again, it's a pleasure to see you all, and let's keep working together.
No worries. It was just great to connect with everybody and an honor to be with you. So many volunteers and a lot of work to be done coming up. The final thing I'd like to say is that we're going to see a lot of polls coming up, and hopefully the polls don't impact how much work we put in. And that's really not about this group, because we're going to do the work that's required. But make sure that we're talking to everybody else to not let them rest on their laurels because of the polls. So let's keep everybody else working, keep energizing folks as we move forward. And just an honor to be with you, and look forward to joining you in this journey all the way to November. That's it.
No, really.
Not really.
No.
I don't hear any music. I was dreaming when I wrote this. Forgive me if it goes astray.
But when I woke up this morning, this morning
Kurt,
was
this is
just
Frank.
a day.
Sky was all purple, there were people running everywhere. Trying to run from the destruction, you know I didn't even care.
actually got it simulcast here. So that was from Super Tuesday night, you know.
Hey guys, I don't mean to burst anyone's bubble, but I'm concerned. Too many people are happy. The lead that we are seeing now in the polls is not much different than the poll numbers that Hillary had back in 2016. So people were feeling real good back in 2016, and then Trump won. Do we have a strategy for nearby states, Pennsylvania? I'm going to wait until November to celebrate. Is there anything that we could be doing as a group to influence toss-up states that are in our region? I know that we're like mid-Atlantic region. Can we be influencing Pennsylvania? Pennsylvania and Florida are like really important. What can we be doing like now to influence those states? They're pretty close.
I am still here, Kurt.
Yeah,
so to answer that question in part, the campaign is beginning to work with state parties in swing states like Pennsylvania, safe states that we need to protect, like right here in Virginia and all across the country. So once those get underway, we will definitely have opportunities for folks to make calls into states that we need to win back, like Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, even North Carolina, where I'm at, is still in play. So stay tuned to the campaign website, and I do agree with you in part, Tom. And Ravi mentioned this too. Let's not pay too much attention to the polls. They're going to go up and down over the coming months. I think I saw one last week, a national poll that had Joe up 14 points over Trump. While that is nice to see, you know, the polls are going to sway in every direction. So let's keep our heads down and get the work done, because it's not going to be over until the last poll closes on November 3rd, and hopefully by that time we'll be able to celebrate again. Just so appreciative of all of you, having been on the campaign for close to a year now, working on the ground in 2 states, South Carolina and Florida, and remotely over the last 3 months.
So
I haven't seen a more dedicated group of volunteers than the team here in Virginia. So thank you all so much for what you're doing, and let's keep it up.
Thank you, Matthias. Once a strategy is determined, how will that be communicated?
It will be through field organizers like myself, where we're planning on bringing on more staff into battleground states over the next month to 2 months. So some of the points of contact may change, but you'll hear directly from field organizers like myself about opportunities to either volunteer in your own state or make calls into another, like you mentioned, Pennsylvania as one. So
And will that be via email or
via
Slack?
email, phone calls directly to you,
Okay.
things like that. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mattia, I have a question. When we're going to start putting ads on the TV? Trump is already had ad in Virginia.
TV ads, that's outside of my department, so I'm not sure on that. I know we have digital ads running in online in a lot of our key swing states, but TV ads, I'm just not sure yet.
Generally speaking, Jalmeen, as somebody that has worked in 3 different presidential campaigns, Clinton 92, Obama 2008, and now joining Team Joe, I'll tell you, it's the summer. The summer, the majority of Americans, especially now with COVID-19, the last thing that they're looking at their personal safety. That's where Americans are concerned, how they're going to put food on the table, how they're paying their rent. They're not tuning in. Trump has to make noise. He's got to make noise because he wants to distract us from the problem at hand. He's playing smoke and mirrors to distract us. So you will see that the campaign is properly funded. There is money. There's tons of money. We'll have the resources to go toe to toe. And we got to remember, we were extremely close. There were key mistakes done in 2016 that will not be repeated this time. The candidate will go to all 50 states. We will not take a single state for granted in this election. Not a single state. Every state is going to come into play. We're going to take the game to them. I was making phone calls to Idaho yesterday. I heard people in Idaho that telling me independence, that's a red state. If they have to defend red states, they're toast. And that's exactly what we need to do. We gotta take our states, secure them, go to the battleground, and then take the game to their states. If they have to defend their turf, they're toast. But we cannot let go. We cannot let our guard down. We cannot take anything for granted. We took Pennsylvania for granted, we lost it. We took it for granted, and we lost it. And we have to appeal to every single American. I am a first-generation Cuban-American Democrat from Florida. I was the first Latino student leader at Boston College back in the early 90s. I saw Bill Clinton when he visited Boston, Massachusetts, and he was that hick from Arkansas. I told my friends, that guy, that's a 2-term president. I said, hell no, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, I followed Joe. I knew Joe before most of you guys here knew Joe because most of you were kids or were not even born when Joe was already, running his first run for president. I remember Joe from back then. Joe's a consistent, decent man, middle of the road Democrat as myself, progressive in the issues, but he knows how to talk to independents. We need to have a broad approach. We need somebody like Bill Clinton was able to reach out to independents. Joe will be able to deliver independence. And with the help of independents and a solid Democratic turnout, this election is ours. And not only that, but we'll have a down ballot effect, and we'll take back the Senate, and we'll give a solid majority in the Senate and in the House. And then we'll see how Washington starts to work again. Thank you.
This is Frank. Enrique.
Yeah, I do. I would like to say something here.
Hold on, Julia. Frank has been trying to say something for the last several minutes. Frank, can you go ahead and speak?
Frank, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
My name is Frank Tucker. How are you?
Hi, Frank.
Listen, Ron LeGrand is the one that invited me to get on with this campaign. Ron worked with Joe Biden when he was a U.S. Senator. I've known Ron for years. We went to Boston College also. And yeah, Boston College. My year is 72. I graduated in 72.
93. I knew Senator Ted Kennedy when Senator Kennedy was a trustee at Boston College. And we will continue, and we will deliver Senator Kennedy's dream of healthcare for all, access, universal access for all Americans. That will deliver on the Biden administration.
Well, I know all the Kennedys. I know everybody from Boston in the area. Tipper O'Neill. I go back to my cousin worked for Tipper O'Neill.
Wow.
So I've been a Democrat for years. I live in Gaithersburg, Maryland now. And, you know, I have a lot of people. I live in a retirement home. And I've already started recruiting everybody, and they're definitely on board for Joe. Plus, I've been talking to all my friends in Boston because I'm originally from Boston. And everybody, I have a lot of friends in Boston, and we're all down with Joe. And
well, you got one more friend here, Frank. One more friend.
All right.
I'm todos con Biden. Whoever needs Latino outreach in their communities, I'm a native Spanish speaker. We need to connect with, it has to be everyone. Every single one of us has to be out there. I don't care if you're trying to talk to a Trump supporter. I have had Trump supporters that have turned around because I've come with intelligent arguments without criticizing. I said, I want to listen to you. We need to listen. We as Democrats need to listen. We need to listen. Republicans don't listen. Listen. Once we listen, we got to come and find the common ground. There is common ground because we are all Americans. We're not Anglo-Americans. We're not African-Americans. We're all the United States of America. And we need to think as a people. We're a country based on ideas. We're not a country based on ethnicities. We're not on cultures. We're a nation of ideas. That's what it means to be an American, is that you stand for certain principles, for ideas. And we have a president who does not understand or probably has never fully read the U.S. Constitution. And we cannot have somebody like that. It is toxic. It is risky. Or democracy is at stake. The Republicans talk about founding fathers. None of those guys apparently have read the Federalist Papers or many of the other documents of the founding fathers. Would be appalled at the current state of the U.S. democracy.
Yes, I do. Is that okay? I understand that there are different strategies that can be applied and to reach all the supporters so that they can vote, because the conversation here is all about voting, okay? Unfortunately, COVID-19 can be very disruptive. As a result, to our wonderful organizers, how would you encourage, how will you implement, in other words, use the mailing as a strong strategy so that Joe Biden can receive the votes, because that's what's count. Can anyone answer that question? How will that be applied? How will you be able to keep track and know that this supporters here or there did receive the mailing, they did receive everything, but the other question is, how will they return it? How will you keep track of that? Because I understand one of the great volunteers there were talking from Boston College that the communication is very important. And unfortunately, the technology does work. Okay, the down part about it is not everyone really have access to Wi-Fi. Not everyone has the can access this, social media and all that. We have to understand that the population without the correct resources, we have to go back to basic, which is the mailing. So organizers, what kind of techniques are you going to apply in order to really implement the mailing strategy? Really? Okay. Uh-huh. Okay, so
Thank you. Yes, I'm Tashira Dixon from New Jersey. I am the new volunteer and I'm really happy to be here. I am curious and a little bit concerned about what strategies the campaign has to defeat Donald Trump when he begins to play dirty, because we know his tactics and his antics and we know what happened with Hillary. And I'm really curious about what strategies or plans that the campaign has to make sure that he doesn't get away with that again.
Hold on, Matthias, before you jump in, can I just say, Ty, to your question, and to the couple comments before, and Matthias, maybe you can address this when you're about to speak. If everyone on this call shares and promotes and get people to vote, sign up for absentee voting, every last one of us, I understand the party's going to have their strategy. I understand battleground state. I understand there are other sort of mass scale. Hi, can you mute your line, please? Thank you. And all these mass scale things. But every person, if someone on this call is asking what they can do, and Matthias, correct me if I'm wrong, because it was one of the main reasons 2016 turned out the way it did was lack of voter turnout compared to the number of voters that came out for Obama in the 2 elections before.
Yes.
So every vote and every person on this call, you do not have to be a volunteer. You do not have to be a member of the DNC. You do not have, if you share the information on how people, because I'm a crisis communications communicator. I have seen the opportunity with mail-in voting. For all those people who are too lazy to go to the poll, guess what? You don't have to leave your house. You don't have to leave your house. And if I'm not mistaken, mail-in ballots don't even require a stamp. Am I correct, Matthias?
Right, that's right.
So these are people, they say they can't afford gas to get to the polls. They don't have time to take off of work. They can actually send in a ballot from the comfort of their couch, where the postman comes and drops off their mail and picks up outgoing mail. They can actually do mail-in balloting from home. So I see this as an opportunity for the apathetic voters, for those who haven't voted, for those who didn't come out in the last election. We have a ripe group of people, I believe, we can target in mail-in balloting. I highly encourage folks to please share that link. If you have a neighbor who does not have a computer, ask them, invite them, or help them sign and register online. We have everything at our fingertips, ladies and gentlemen. And I highly implore that this is what you, as one single person, can do from the comfort of your home, with your neighbors next door, walking across the street, walking up and down your apartment building. Okay, sorry.
Nairi,
No, that was great.
Nairi's completely right.
That's wonderful. Okay, can I say one more thing? Kurt, I'm so sorry about that. According to Nairi, she made a wonderful point. So, speaking of the mailing, how can, I know, Kurt, you mentioned that to join and to be more active and get connected and all that. So let's think about locally, okay? If each one of us as volunteer, we come here in this call, and every time we come, and then maybe we can share and say, what was the result of me going next door to my neighbor, reminding them to return their mailing, their ballot, okay? So the action has to be put in practice. In other words, we cannot just speak about it, talk about it. So how can we support each other to do that? So, next part.
No, I have a statement here. I'm from Portland, Oregon. We've been voting by mail for decades. I'm also a precinct committee person for Washington County Democrats, and we go around, we actually will pick up people's ballots and take them to the ballot box or drop them in the mail. Depends where you come from, whether they are stamped or not. For our last primaries, they were stamped for the first time. But there are mechanisms with your local Democratic organizations that will go around and we make calls. I mean, that's my job, get people out to vote. And I have picked up many a ballot and dropped them in the ballot box for the people or the post office. So there are ways to engage in that.
Can I jump in for a minute?
I do, but actually I
I'd
wanted
like
to
to
start.
jump in for a minute if I can.
There's somebody who's trying to.
Okay. I've been working together with a group called Organized Together 2020. And I want to let you know that we worked on getting the people to, it was phone banking here. I'm in Pennsylvania, but we had a group, one fella from Chicago. We had young people from all over. And we succeeded in getting 29,000 people over that, sending getting mail-in ballots, and of those, 28,000 were returned. So it can be done. And the group is called Organized Together 2020. If any of you are interested in joining it, look it up and see what you can do. But there are groups out there that are getting together to make phone calls. And by the way, it was done automatically. We worked at the computer and we were fed the calls. So it worked and we did very well with it. So I think the other thing that came up the other day, everybody was asked to send as many postcards as you can to 1,500 to the president's house, the White House, so that we can show that we need the mail.
I'll weigh in just a little bit, trying to just address the last few points. I think as far as the absentee voting and how we go about making sure those get returned will vary a little bit state by state, as each state has, different laws regarding how a ballot needs to be returned, if people need, witnesses to be present, co-sign their ballots or things like that. So as those strategies get developed, we will of course share those. And Ty, per your question, when Donald Trump goes negative, which we all know he will and already has, we just need to do our best to amplify the message that the campaign has been pushing, certain policy points that may be in the news during a certain week, or really just highlighting the differences between what a Biden presidency would look like versus what the past 4 years have brought. So really just, I know it's hard to tune out Trump's negativity and not look at his Twitter feed saying what crazy thing is he saying now about walking down the platform at the West Point commencement ceremony, or talking about Sleepy Joe, but just tune it out as best you can and amplify the message that our campaign is putting out.
Actually, Matthias, I had a point on that.
Sure.
And to Ty's question, there's action that you can take right now, and the campaign wants us to take right now, and that is correcting Facebook misinformation on that platform. There is a lot of information that gets shared on Facebook, and unlike Twitter, which has rectified this a little bit with fact-checking, literally fact-checking the president's tweets. I love it. If you guys haven't seen it, check it out. It's fantastic. But Mark Zuckerberg wants to have a hands-off approach. They don't want to claim responsibility for anything that's shared on their platform. And as we saw in 2016, they are responsible for the dissemination of misinformation on the social media. So what you could do right now, they have these statements. They're literally prepackaged. You just have to post them to your feed, to your Facebook. We got to pressure Facebook to be accountable, and like we really do. Like news media has to be accountable for fact checking Donald Trump. We need more mechanisms in place. The reason that he gets away with the things that he does is because we don't have news media that like fact checks him quick enough. They're just kind of like, oh, he just says crazy things. We can't allow that. Like we have to be quick to respond to him. Facebook has to be quick to respond to him. So if you're on Kurt's NCR Slack, there is a post on there that has the guidelines for what I'm talking about, the things you can put on your social media. Check that out and do that. It'll make a big difference in helping get the word out about Facebook.
So Paul, I have a question for you. The Joe Biden social media, is it also there? Is it included in the Action Center as far as the old, I would say like the old tools for Facebook toolkits, like to follow? Because everything there is like I like to say, there must be some type of a guidelines to follow.
So what you're talking about, at this point, there is a very big ecosystem, I think, and Matthias, I think maybe you're better to talk about this than I am. But I was just gonna say, like, the ecosystem of Joe Biden stuff is quite large at this point, and oftentimes, like, it's geographically split, and there's different volunteer groups and different affinity groups and LGBT and African Americans. I mean, there's just so many. I always just start with like the main accounts, and as you find things that interest you, join them. And you'll notice that too on the Mobilize events. Like a lot of these groups are hosting things, and sometimes they're hyper local, and sometimes they're more national in scale. It's kind of the cool thing about this campaign and this digital environment. But you can kind of find your niche. Matthias, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah,
honestly, no. I think you hit
Thank you, Paul.
Covered it pretty well, Paul. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Sorry, Paul. I was going to add to what you were saying, and Matthias. As Paul was saying, there's several social media accounts, both on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Oftentimes, if you go to just one of the accounts of something you might be interested in, maybe say Women for Biden, for example, is one that gets a lot of traction on Instagram. I know, as I think there may be a Facebook group as well. That account, as well as Students for Biden, is pretty popular. If you go to those accounts and you look at who they're following, oftentimes you might be able to find a group that you might be interested in and also following. That's how I personally found some of the groups that I follow.
Oh, that's great. Okay.
They often follow each other, but that might be a good way to start to find some of those groups too.
Because what I've been thinking about, as we can connect to those social media users, okay, and then we can also ask them to, why not? You and I, we can access the social media, but there are people out there. How can you get involved and go to your local area? So in other words, I am able to access the social media. At the same time, I'm thinking about the other population who cannot do it. So it's like a chain, In other words, that's what Joe Biden said. We have to support each other. So I'm glad you mentioned that to me. I didn't realize that the Women's for Biden's on Instagram and on Facebook. So I will start doing that because I'm the type of person who don't believe only, I don't think locally, I just think broadly. Of course, that's the way it's supposed to be. And particularly with Mr. Trump, we need to be very vigilant, and in spite of whatever he thinks that he's going to put it down, we got to keep on going, because I think what happened with Hillary Clinton, it was like he intimidated everyone, and then they did not know which direction to go to. So at this point, I think it's very important to remind, supporters that disregard, Donald Trump, and then keep on voting and keep on working so Joe Biden can get the votes.
The thing I wanted to, I was just going to add, if you even look at like the group that's like kind of hosting this call tonight, just like the diversity of the people who are on it, they're not only like members of their group, but like also have groups in and of themselves, and they're reliable people to go to if you're looking to join a specific affinity group or if you have questions about that group. So Nancy, who talked earlier, Women for Biden, they do so many it's almost like a parallel organization to the kids of the campaign. Like that's like a whole thing. And it's like when it's just immerse yourself in those activities. Corey is involved with the LGBT groups. Ravi literally hosted a Zoom night where he talked about the history of Asian American Pacific Islander communities in the military, the armed services, and the military. It was so informative and so cool, and like I was so happy that he did that. And of course, I've seen Students for Biden groups. I'm not sure if anyone here is from that, but that's picking up. Like there's college, there's a whole bunch of chapters across the country working with college Democrats, young Democrats. So I can't even begin to describe. Carol is involved with like veterans and military families. For Biden, they do weekly phone banks, it is really, it's kind of actually inspiring to just see that diversity and that reflected, the diversity of our country, and then that reflected in the campaign. So I just wanted to put that out there for everyone.
And can I and may I just add, Matthias, this is a recommendation or suggestion that maybe you can take back to the campaign. It would be great if on the joebiden.com website, there's actually a listing of all the affinity groups that are out there that either have a website or a Facebook page, because the reality is everyone on this call and everyone at large is terribly busy. We're getting messages and emails from every type of group that doesn't really apply to us or what have you. If there is some, literally create a landing page on the joebiden.com site where it just lists Paul, you listed a bunch of organizations or affinity groups, none of which I belong to. I belong to Sisters for Biden. And, there's like so many. And, but I'm one person. I don't have time to be involved with 10 different organizations. None of us do. We're living in really crazy times right now, whether it be with our health or our jobs or our families or our children or what have you. So to make it easier, and it's just a recommendation, Matthias, again, if there's a way, because I think folks on this call can literally pick a group and focus their time on that group instead of trying to spread their time in 20 different directions. I think this is a way to streamline support and to actually get someone who maybe has 20 minutes a week or an hour a week to donate time versus getting frustrated and saying, I can't do everything, therefore I'm not going to do anything. So just a thought.
Definitely. Thank you, Natalie.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree with you. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. I do a lot of phone banking. What I'd like is every state to know when the deadline is, how to apply, and when the deadline is they have to mail it in. If I knew state by state when I'm calling, say Pennsylvania, I can say, have you gotten it? And I know exactly when it has to be. You understand? There must be a listing of state by state of all those deadlines. Right. Okay.
Kurt, just really quickly on that point, because it's an important point, because there's like so much information out there about all these different states. It's super confusing, and like there's no reason why you as an individual should have to wade through that confusing and like frankly labyrinthine, setup. It's insane. What the campaign does, though, they have these call scripts, that if you just sign up for a phone bank and you use their online call script, the state you're calling into, all that information is just right in there. Literally the information that you have to give to that voter is right there. Okay. And so, all of that should just be consolidated into that call script. And if you want more information, I don't know what state you're in, but connect with your local.
But I haven't seen that in the call scripts. I haven't seen that in that data in the call script.
Because I just think that like lately it's been a lot more like community calls and stuff. But as we pivot to like GOTV and the elections, that's all like state specific, much more specific information, kind of like what we were doing in the early primaries, like when you're calling into Iowa or New Hampshire. Like we knew when the ballots were due by, when, if you had to vote absentee, when you had to request by, postmark, like all those questions.
Perfect.
And finally, at the last measure, if I have any questions, I usually just look at the elections office on the website.
Okay. Perfect.
I might jump in every time, whenever you work with a group, that group will give you the information that you need. Then there are training programs that you should get involved with. And in those training programs, they give you all that information. Have any of you heard Steve Schmidt's interview on YouTube? It's marvelous. He's the fellow that worked for Nixon, and he's a big Democrat now. And his explanation of Trump is marvelous. See if you can find it and listen to it. Also listen to the translation of Nessun Dorma, the opera. And this chap has translated into a political piece of music. Excellent.
I've got a question. I'm sorry, I don't have a camera. This is Bob Ritchie from Massachusetts. I had
added a couple things in the chat. I asked this question before in other meetings. How are we going to do voter registration in this era of COVID-19? Because you don't have a voter list to call. It's like, people who aren't registered aren't listed anywhere. Is there any strategy for doing voter registration?
I'm super concerned about that personally, because we don't have like college campuses or like physically congregating places where we're going to do that.
Right.
And I mean, those are I don't know if anyone has like answers to that. I would be curious too, because
I'm taking this intelligent guess. How can we find out from the postal office? Okay, each region or according to the zip code, how do we get in contact with them? I guess we just need to be somewhat creative. It's important. That's a good point. Let's say if you have a plan to have maybe 1,000 a week to register, and I'm assuming, I'm just taking this intelligent guess, is to definitely reach out to the postal office.
You have to go to your Board of Elections at your county seat.
Oh, your county
and
seat.
you can get all the applications you need.
Yes.
Whenever you go to a farmer's market, whenever you go to any group meeting, take those with you. And I know they signed a lot of people up whenever they're marching now, wherever they are. Get out there with those people and sign them up.
So Paula, the only thing is now it's somewhat limited, due to the COVID-19.
Well,
the social distancing is it's the best strategy health-wise. And so how can we, the best method, again, the strategy, so we can continue reaching out while we are practicing social distancing.
Right, if you're 6 feet away, it's hard to hand a paper to somebody. Exactly.
We're having this conversation with Mario.
I just want to jump in. We here in Pennsylvania were able to register and sign up for absentee ballots or for the ballots on the internet. So encourage people to get on the internet. Everybody's on it. You can apply for your ballot there.
Yeah, it's easy.
So some ideas that we've come up with in our local Democratic committee meetings here in Arlington, scanning QR codes. You can still have a physical location somewhere, and most people have mobile phones, especially younger people who need to be registered to vote. You can have a situation where they just need to pull out their phone on their camera app and scan a QR code, and it'll take them to a voter registration form online. Or have some kind of Google form set up in an iPad that you clean off, that you disinfect after every use, and get their information, and then mail them and then just send them a link at a later time and then follow up with them. There's all these kinds of things that we have to think through in terms of how do we be socially distant but at the same time effective and
exactly
around.
Yeah. Because definitely the social distancing is a very, very destructive, and it's human nature. It's uncontrollable. There's nothing we can do about it. Again, we have to be very, very creative and come up with different plans and different strategies so we can still get the voters. There are many people who still now, they don't have any access to a computer, okay? So we're thinking about those population. There's another population also, the physically impaired. So this is another one. We have to think about those are very, very important voters that probably cannot access. And we need to get rid of Donald Trump. So in order to get rid of Donald Trump, we really need to work very hard. And it's so good that we can come together here. We are listening to each other and, make it happen.
Yeah. I will add what Paul said. The state party, at least, and the local Arlington County party is very aware of these concerns, and especially about not being able to sign voters up in person if you have the social distance, right? So I guess I don't have any details per se, but maybe as something of comfort is that the state parties and local parties are aware. They're talking about the same concerns that you're bringing up, and so they are doing something about it. They're putting in some strategies to how we get at those voters digitally. And I know someone in the comments mentioned, what if someone doesn't have access to internet? That's obviously a concern too. So maybe it's some level of comfort if that provides any. They are thinking about it and are echo your concerns.
Okay, thank you.
That's great.
Thank you.
That's wonderful. Something I want to share with you. As I was reading that Michelle Obama becoming, and then as she was sharing and talking everything about, as when, they met together, as, husband and wife, especially during that time. And President Obama, that man worked so hard. He actually set a goal to have about 1,000 registration, voter registration a week.
That's right.
Starting the summertime. And guess what? He did it.
We built it.
This is another, think about it, the strategy. We have to set a goal. What is your goal?
Mm-hmm.
What is my goal? Or just talking by each other, we can set goals together. Because if you don't have a plan to know where you're going, maybe nothing will happen. So let's just start thinking about, let's have those goals set up for the summer. And then when we meet, we say, well, how was your goal? Did you meet? How far did you go? I know this is just something that I'm thinking about President Obama. He did it. So if we can even try maybe to follow this strategy in spite of the social distancing, and Donald Trump will go away. But if we don't do that, it's going to be somewhat challenging.
Really good comment.
Julia, I think Hilda wants to say something.
I'm so sorry.
My name is Hilda Macaulay, and I live in Hightsville in Maryland. And I'm originally from Sierra Leone, West Africa. What I've been doing, this is my first time I'm volunteering. I was brought into it by Salome, but I believe this is a time that we all have to rally around and make sure we have Joe as our next president. That is very, very critical. So I've been reaching to people I know, friends, relatives, everyone I know that is originally from West Africa, telling them how important it is. Because most of the people from Sierra Leone, Ghana, Nigeria, they don't vote. Not because they are not eligible, but because they don't see the importance of voting. So I have been rallying them, trying to get them to vote, tell them how important it is. And I've been using myself as an example because I have been volunteering to make calls. I've made calls in Maryland to voters in New Jersey, and last week I did calls to voters in Maine. So I'm telling them, if I'm over here making all these calls to people in America, I expect you all to support Joe Biden, and let's rally around and make sure that we vote, because we got to get Trump out of it. Because the next thing he would say is, all Africans, you all go back to where you come from. And we know we have put in so much time and energy and opportunities here in America, and we do not want that to happen. So I'm very dedicated, and I know and I believe that come after November 3rd, we all would be celebrating, and a lot of people from Africa will be voting as Democrats.
Kurt, my name is Suzanne Parker, and I'm a national delegate as well as being precinct chairman in my precinct here near Knoxville, Tennessee. Here in Knoxville, we have very little problem with COVID. And some of us have determined that it would be safe if we were to wear our gloves and our masks, to knock on doors, back up 6 or 8 feet, and wait until someone comes to the door. And that way you can be in personal contact. It's, phone banking and door knocking. It's the same old stuff, but we can do it there. I have a cardiologist that I had a visit with not too long ago, and I asked him, was he registered to vote? He said, no, I'm not registered to vote. So I took him a voter registration form, put a stamp on it, addressed it, put it in an envelope with instructions. So you can get to anybody, any place.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing.
Not too much to add. I guess just as we're starting to wrap up the evening, I just want to thank all of you again for all the hard work that you've been doing over some of you for a little over a year. Some of you have joined the campaign more recently from supporting another candidates. Together, we can do this, and tonight's discussion has been, I think, informative for a lot of us. Some things are going to be on a state-by-state approach as to how we register voters or how we can knock on doors, make phone calls, things like that. But each of you keep in mind, what's at stake for you in this election. Earlier in the week, I had another virtual event with one of our volunteers. I believe a few of you were on it, on sharing our personal stories about why we support Joe, whether it's, and beyond just the surface level. We all know he has the experience to lead. We all know his record, but I encourage all of you to really think about, what's at stake for you. Do you have a friend who's a part of the LGBT community, or an immigrant that's been a target of Donald Trump's racism, build a wall, or implementing the Muslim ban at the start of his term, things like that. It's protecting the Affordable Care Act. Maybe you have a pre-existing condition where the Affordable Care Act literally allows you to have health insurance when you weren't able to before. Those things are what's going to keep us fighting. We have about 5 months to go, and it's still going to be a long campaign. The polls are going to go up and down. Donald Trump is going to continue attacking us in every way that he can think of, and then some. So keep up the good work, and let's win this thing together. I'm so glad to be on this team, and so glad that all of you are here.
Guys.
Hey guys, I just want to quickly share that I added some resources in the chat box. Again, I added to register to vote, and I'm sorry, I only have Virginia. I included the link on there. And again, for mail-in balloting, I added the link again. I probably posted it about 10 times by now, but I just want to make sure everyone is seeing it in the chat box.
Well, what's the deadline to register to vote in Virginia, Nairi?
So I believe for the absentee balloting. So the last day to request your mail-in ballot online is 5 p.m. the Tuesday before the election day. And that's all on, if you click the link that for absentee voting, the eabsentee.org.form.vote2020, it gives you the 6 bullets up top, how to do it, the deadline, and where to input your information. It's very simple, guys.
I was gonna say how simple is to register in Virginia? How simple is it?
Online is very simple as well, because it also tells you for the wevoteva.com/register how to register with or without a Virginia driver's license or ID. So it's pretty seamless.
Yeah.
I just wanted to close out here, and again, just echoing Matthias's wonderful comments, and thank everyone for joining. My only closing thought is, in 2016, there were a lot of regrets. People who felt like they didn't do enough because the polls were saying that Hillary was so, was so ahead of Trump and expecting it to be a landslide. That feels like a very painful moment for a lot of us, but I believe that in pain comes opportunity and learning. And I learned a lot from that experience. Not that I didn't do everything that I could, but I saw friends who felt that way. And so, we have about 150 days left until this election. That's not a lot of time, in the grand scheme of things. So, if Donald Trump is reelected, I'm constantly thinking to myself how I'll feel if I will feel satisfied the day after Donald Trump is reelected that I did everything that I could to make that not happen. And I can't allow that. I believe in this country too much to allow that. I believe in this democracy too much in our institutions. I've committed myself to do everything that I can to make that not happen. I wouldn't be able to live with myself. I mean, if that ends up being the case. So I kind of have that thought going in the back of my head. Into you guys, but it's present and it's there. And I do believe this is a fight for our democracy. And I guess it's just an invitation for you guys to join us, in working hard to elect Joe Biden and quite literally save our country from spiraling, down even further downward. So, thank you guys for coming on this call. If you're hearing us all out, I'm so happy that you go with an opportunity, and I'm looking forward to this next phase where we go on and we win this thing, because we're not at the finish line yet, but we're getting there.
Thank you so much for having me here, Paul.
Of course, Julia.
I feel the same way too. I just don't want to see Donald Trump back in the White House. That's enough, Donald Trump. I will do anything. I live in Washington.
Hello, I'm Dolores Llewellyn from Richmond, Virginia. It's a pleasure to be with you today. I'm a supporter for Joe Biden and have been since he was vice president, actually. And I think that what comes to mind about Joe Biden is his compassion for people. Just like he went and talked to the family of George Floyd, he not only had a video recording for the funeral, but he also called the people, the grandchildren and the family members by name. That was just so touching. Also, I think that the more that he can do on the TV, that more ads he can do, letting people know who he is and what he stands for in direct contrast to the other person is good, is excellent. Also, I think that I saw an ad for Joe Biden not too long ago, and it went in Virginia, and it went through from when he was a child with his and his parents and his father, and how hard they worked and so forth. And I thought that was an excellent ad. And if there's any way I could get a copy of that, I would send that out myself, because it is so powerful. It brought tears to my eyes because of the story that he has to tell. He has a story to tell of someone who is faithful, who is hardworking, someone who has integrity and has this country's best interest at heart. So I've been working for Joe Biden. I've been volunteering and so forth. I'm a supporter, have a sign on my door, which I paid for. And everyone who comes here sees Joe Biden's name because it's there, very big. And I just want you to know that I'm going to be with Joe Biden and I'm going to be checking online for all of the information. And I thank you for the information on the absentee ballot, the form, and I'm going to be getting those, printing them out and passing them out. I hope you have a blessed evening.
Dolores, wonderful.
Thank you.
Sorry, I don't have a camera on. I'm just kind of heading out. I've posted it a couple of times in the chat. And first of all, thank you guys, everyone. And it's just really great to see the energy for positive, not just negative Trump, but positive Biden. So that's really nice to be a part of. If you guys go to Vote Save America, it has all of the registration dates, all of the registration deadlines, all of the primary dates for all of the different states. And then also you can click there just to register, or you can click to see if you're registered. And if not, it shows you how to get registered in each state. And then also for the states that allow it, you can also click to request a ballot. So it has a lot of that information just kind of all in one place. So as you guys are kind of working to make your voting calls and stuff like that, which is amazing, that might be just it has a lot of good kind of easy to access information if you do have internet access, which I guess we all do, but I know that not everyone does. But if that's something that you guys can use when you are making your calls, that's one thing that's helped me. So, and thank you guys for the call, and it's really great to see the energy.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Kurt, I think we're ready to wrap up here. Thank you guys all for coming on. Does anyone from the hosting committee want to say anything? Just in closing? All right, I'm gonna take that as a no.
Thank you for everyone coming out. This is great. This is great. Great way to start off the week.
I want to say one last thing. I have posted, and I've gotten a lot of friends in Facebook to like it and people to see it, the code of conduct of the campaign, the values that Joe Biden stands for: humility, integrity, responsibility. I mean, all of this are core American values. And I think that the campaign did a great job. And I think as long as we stick to those, repeating, drilling those things, I'm putting it on my Facebook story, my updates constantly, day in. We got to drill the values. I mean, Trump has drilled counter values that are not non-American values. We need to take our country back to the decency that was brought back in 2008 by the classiest president the United States has seen in my lifetime, Barack Obama. We need that decency back in the White House. We need to be proud. We need to be able to hold our heads high. I am tired with every friend from Latin America, from third world countries. They're telling me, what do you guys have? A future tin pot dictator there? What's going on in America? And I'm embarrassed. This is the first time in my life I'm truly embarrassed to be an American. I'm a Cuban American. My parents came to this country looking for freedom, looking for rights, looking for opportunity, and they succeeded. I am a first generation American. I have a dream, an American dream. Yo tengo un sueño americano. With all and for all. With all and for all. That's how a Cuban patriot, Jose Marti, would say. I want an America that's for all Americans and with all Americans, because we are the United States of America. The united. We are one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That's it.
Great. Wonderful. I am so glad. I have to say a last word also. I am very, very pleased to be with you all tonight. And again, it's very hard sometimes not to mention it. The COVID-19 is affecting a lot of us. And then, so whenever we can be together, I mean, we don't see each other, but just being to see your face and sharing idea, it's just, letting us know that, life is going on. We can still move on and make sure Donald Trump is out. And that's my last word. As long as we tell every single citizen that Donald Trump needs to go, they are going to vote. This is the point. Donald Trump has to go. Joe Biden needs to come back to the White House. Bye-bye, everyone. Good night. Yes. That's the party, yeah. Party to get Donald Trump.
I'll speak one last time. Just one more thank you from the campaign team here. It's an honor to work with all of you. I do have to hop onto one last checkout call with my manager here. So keep up the good work, and I look forward to seeing all of you again soon. As Julia mentioned, COVID has us separated right now, but we like to think of it as physically distancing. I don't like the term socially distancing because that makes it seem like we can't talk with each other even, but technology allows us to see each other in some environments. So continue to support each other, and together we're going to restore the soul of the nation and make Joe Biden the next president.
That's it. There you are. Great. Wonderful. Bye-bye. Everyone have a wonderful week.
Hi, this is Lisa Williams, and I was been on the call ever since the beginning, and I am just so excited to support Joe Biden. I was just recently elected national delegate to the DNC convention this year from the 7th Congressional District, and I also represent my county of Chesterfield. I am also on the 7th CD committee for the Democratic Party of Virginia State Central Committee. I've been very active for several years. And I just can't wait for, I believe it's 143 days, either 142 or 143 until Election Day. And I need, and I know that my fellow citizens need, this transition to come back. I don't like to use the term normal, but exactly how I would describe it is President Barack Obama, that atmosphere, that respect, that statesmanship. Just all of those things that reflected not only nationally, but internationally, worldwide, and every individual from elderly to teenage to children, just the actual representation of the leader of the highest office in the greatest nation in the actual world, needs Joe Biden to become president of the United States. To me, this is a no-brainer. Also, to me, there is no option. Joe has to be president of the United States on November 3rd, and I truly believe that he is going to be. So thank you, everyone, for having this call and allowing me to be on the call and also make comments. And go, Joe. Let's do this. Let's get this done. Thank you.
Awesome. Great. Wonderful.
All right, anybody else want to bring in the last word before we close this down, about 5-10 minutes?
Oh, Bob Ritchie again. I don't have a camera, but I just typed in, you're all great. Thanks for all your hard work, and let's keep going. I'm going to be making calls again tomorrow. Thanks so much. Thank you.
I know it's been a hard time. We could do this in person. We have a party. We could be celebrating, and we could be opening the champagne in person. It's hard doing this virtually, but that's why we're here, okay? All right, anybody?
19. It's a special number, 19 for me. This, you know what? Ooh. Kurt, can I share something? I just realized that. Wait, too late? Okay, you know, 19, my birthday is on June 19. I'm just realizing that now. So I think this is very, very special to me too. With Joe Biden. Thank you. Yeah, seriously. Thank you. Yeah.
Trying to run from the distraction, you know I didn't even care. Say 2000, party over, it's out of time. So tonight I'm gonna party like it's 1999. I was dreaming when I wrote this, so sue me if I go too fast.
You have Jamaican roots.
Yeah.
My great grandfather was born in Kingston, Jamaica.
Oh wow! You know what? You know what? I'm not surprised. I was born in Haiti.
I'm Cuban American.
Haitian American,
Well, I have a lot of good Haitian friends from Miami.
Oh yeah, I went to the University of Miami too.
Oh, UM.
I love you too. I'm African American.
Hi, Hilda. Feel free to call me Hilda.
Did you send your number?
I believe so. Let me double check.
I asked you to email me.
I emailed you. I'm emailing you right now. Hold on, I'm emailing you right now.
Thank you. I am so excited. I am very excited.
Yeah, I did door-to-door canvassing, which I had never done for any single presidential candidate in 2008 for President Obama. I went door-to-door in hardcore Republican South Florida, and I got doors shut in my face, shoved in my face. They would say, how are you supporting, in Spanish, they would tell me, how are you supporting that black man? I said, that man stands for every one of us. He's the only one that has the guts to do healthcare reform. And that was exactly why I got behind Barack, because I knew Barack was gonna deliver. He was not gonna pay lip service.
Yes.
Everybody had been paying lip service to healthcare reform, and he had the guts. It cost him. It cost us the Congress, because he was willing to go and do what no one has been willing to do. I need plenty of friends with pre-existing conditions. I myself had very difficult access to healthcare. I know entrepreneurs. I'm an accountant. I know small business entrepreneurs that tell me, I would love to be able to do more, but I'm limited by healthcare cost. It is too expensive for me to expand my business. If I have to expand, then I have to offer benefits, and it's too costly. So we need to fix healthcare in this country. And that's the reason why I voted for Barack. And that when I went door to door every weekend, every summer weekend in Florida with 90+ degree weather, I went and I knocked on doors for hours on end. And I got door after door slamming my face, and it did not matter. And we need that kind of commitment from everyone. We cannot leave a single vote behind. We need for everyone to go out and vote. Not go out. We need to collect. We need to collect mail-in ballots. If we outplay Republicans at their game with its absentee ballots, if we rule in absentee ballots, if we rule in early voting, we will have that election. There is no way. We know how to do turnout. We did it in 2008. We had massive record turnout in 2008. We should be able to replicate that. There's no reason. If this state of our country does not motivate every single American to go out and vote, for crying out loud, I don't know what will take for Americans to go out and vote. I do not. I mean, this is worse than 2008. This is worse. The economics, the social unrest, everything that's taking place in our country is worse. Are we, my question, my fellow Americans, as they said, are we better off than we were in 2016? I beg to differ. I think we are a lot worse off than we are in 2016. Our country started going downhill on January 20th of 2016 when the unnameable was placed in office. That person whose name in the Latinos, in the Todos for Biden, the Latino group in Virginia for Biden, we had 125 people on that call. 125 Latinos. Today, I would have loved to see. I barely saw any Spanish or surnames in this group.
Enrique, you have me.
Thank you, Alba. Thank you. No, I know, but
I'm Ecuadorian American, first generation Ecuadoriana Americana.
Excellent.
I'm also with Todos con Biden and Latinos con Biden with the Latin Victory Fund.
Muy bien, Alba, muy bien. And the problem is that Latinos have not delivered, have not voted in the way that they should have voted. Turnout, the Latino turnout in Texas, the Latino turnout in Nevada, in Arizona, in New Mexico has been poor. If Latinos turn out in the same percentage as African Americans, Texas would be in the bag. We would have Texas. We flip Texas blue. We get Arizona. We get New Mexico. We get Colorado. We get a whole bunch of states out west. If the Latino vote comes out in record numbers. We need the Latino vote to be what the African American vote was in 2008. If the Latinos come out in 2020, like African Americans came out in 2008, that election is in the bag, my friends. It's in the bag. And not a single African American in Michigan, in Wisconsin. Hillary Clinton did not campaign in Wisconsin. That was a strategic mistake. I remember telling the campaign, what are you guys doing? Trump was going to Wisconsin. We took Wisconsin for granted as a Democratic Party. Not a single visit to Wisconsin? Come on, people. Come on. Every 50 states, it's a 50-state strategy. We gotta play. I don't care if it's Idaho. I don't care if it's Montana. I don't care if it's Utah. Every state, we gotta take it to them.
Yes.
All hands on deck. I spoke with people yesterday in Boise, Idaho. I was shocked. And people, Democrats there says, we're in the wilderness. We're a minority here, but we have independents that will go. And we have Republicans that have come to them and said, you know what? I'm ashamed. I gambled, and we've paid a high price for our gamble. I had Democrats tell me that Republicans, they know in Idaho, we're telling them that.
Let's remember that we have to get McConnell out.
What?
We have to get McConnell out.
McConnell, Mitch, Moscow Mitch must be sent packing back to some dark place in Kentucky. We need the people to Kentucky to
That's right.
Take their son back. To take Mitch, let's send Mitch packing to a retirement community in Kentucky, huh? It's time for Mitch to retire. Moscow Mitch or Moscow's bitch must go back to Kentucky.
No, that's Trump.
Oh, they're both. They're both.
But Trump is more and more the bitch.
They're both. But Mitch McConnell, you see, Trump, every Republican should be a referendum in the Republican Party.
Of course it should
be a referendum because they have no shame. They're a party of shameless people. They have no shame. It's amazing. It's amazing that, with exception occasionally of former Massachusetts Governor Mitt Romney, there has been virtually no one having any decency in the Republican Party to say, I am ashamed. You see them when they interview them going in Congress, they say no comment. Yeah. Come on, say something. It's your president. It's from your party. He's your party leader. You have no comment?
McConnell is controlling the country.
Exactly, Paula. McConnell is controlling. Trump in many ways is a useful tool for their very nefarious plans for America. They want to undermine our democracy. They're undermining the judiciary. Look at all the judiciary appointments that have taken place during this years. We can ill afford to allow another 4 years of this mess. I mean, we will not have a country if this man gets reelected. We will not have a country.
Tran, let's get together more often.
We should. I'm on the Slack channel already, so yeah. Thank you, Kurt. Thank you.
Bye, guys. Bye, Kurt. Thanks. Thanks, Kurt.